You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. It's Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com, the ChrisVossShow.com. Welcome to the big show, our family and friends. Welcome to the Chris Voss Show family, the family that loves you but doesn't judge you, at least not as harshly as your mother-in-law, because she doesn't like you, and she never did. But that's, between you and her. So maybe you should, talk to her nice, or buy her a nice gift, or treat her well, or something. I don't know. But right now, people are going, wait, my mother-in-law doesn't like me? I thought she did. No, she wrote the show. She pretends to like you. Anyway, I don't know what any of that means, but be nice to everyone. That's the message of the show. And get her a subscription to the show. Tell her to subscribe, because maybe she'll be nicer to you if she listens to the Chris Voss Show. That's probably the whole reason she's angry at you, is you're holding out on her, and she knows it. And she's like, well, damn it, why won't this guy tell me to go subscribe to the Chris Voss Show podcast? Most of your family members hate you for that reason. So share it with your family members. The improv crap that I do on the ramble is always extraordinary to me. Even to me, sometimes I'm like, really? Where did you come up with that? Go to Goodreads.com. Tell your mother-in-law to go to Goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, YouTube.com/Chris Voss, and Chris Voss 1 at the Tickety Talkety. Today we have a doctor on the show. We're going to learn stuff. There's going to be brain stuff going on and health stuff going on, and it's going to be awesome. Today we're joined by Dr. Amy Neuzil on the show. She's an MTHFR and epigenetics. Let me do that wrong. Epigenetics.
You got it. There
you go. I flunked second grade, as most of my audience knows, over 15 years, and I've never been able to overcome it. So there you go. She is a naturopathic doctor who became an MTHFR and epigenetic expert because of her own MTHFR mutation. She addressed this issue and was trying to work with it, and it gave her such great health gains, she had to share the wealth. MTHFR is a genetic variance on how folate is activated that affects neurotransmitter formation, antioxidant balance, cellular energy, DNA, methylation. I think methylation. I think I did that once. And
you can add syllables. It's okay. We accept that. I mean, it makes us sound smarter, right?
Cell division, reproduction, and personality. I'm having some folate in my coffee right now. I highly recommend it.
Go for it. Stock up.
There you go. Amy works one-on-one in group formats with clients to help them optimize the genes they were born with. Mine were Levi's. She is passionate about educating people about the role of gene mutations in health, mental health, and even personality. I'm not sure she can help my mental state. She also, maybe she will, I don't know. Well, she also loves to share knowledge about the difference between different forms of folate, the risks and benefits of food fortification with folic acid, and the problems related to MTHFR, including hormone imbalance, mental health issues, and fertility. Will it help with stupidity? I'm asking for a friend, Amy.
Just for a friend, right?
Yeah, just for a friend.
I
really?
don't know. I mean, it's kind of linked to everything, which is the crazy part. But
there's
definitely
hope for me.
Brain fog. So yeah, I'll send you some. It'll be okay.
There's hope for me. Stupidity or the exfoliate. Exfoliate. We should probably differentiate the differences there. One uses a loofah and one's I don't know. So we're going to find out more about this as we dig in. But in the start here, Amy, give us your .com so people can find you on the interwebs.
It's tohealthwiththat.com.
To health with that.
That's right.
That's what I said about salad. No, I'm just kidding. Salad's good for you, people. So let's get into it. Give us a 30,000 overview of what you do.
It's really interesting because I kind of stumbled into this backwards, right? When I found out about my own mutation, which I found out about from a patient. Long story.
Wow.
But what I really do is take the little bits of people that aren't working, right, in their genes, the little bits that are not ever going to be very good, and make them better, right? And
Huh.
MTHFR is one of those bits that I really like to focus on because it's like the silent puppet master behind so many functions.
Wow.
So, we think of folate, whatever, it's a vitamin, who cares, right? People know about it for pregnancy, good,
Huh.
but it does so many things, right? So it's linked up to like neurotransmitters, to hormone levels, to mood, to personality, to energy levels, to oxidative stress and how well your antioxidants work, right?
Hmm.
And so it's doing all of these things behind the scenes. And usually when people come to me, I mean, these days they've usually found out they have an MTHFR mutation, but
Wow.
historically it was with this whole weird hodgepodge of symptoms that didn't seem to link together with anything, right? So
Mm.
you've been to doctor after doctor after doctor trying to figure out what the hell's going on because
Hmm.
it doesn't make sense, right?
Huh.
I have depression and I have endometriosis and I have, crazy hormone swings and I have
Mm.
all this stuff going on, but none of it links. Well, it
Hmm.
does actually. It's just nobody really knows about this weird little link.
Wow. So what is folate? Is that the thing that comes off when you exfoliate in the shower with the loofah? Is that what it is?
That's right. I'm the loofah queen,
The
Chris.
loofah queen. There you
Loofah
go.
queen.
All right.
Just so
Can
you
I
know.
sell this folate for money and I just go in the shower and make me $50 or something?
Yeah, absolutely. No problem. So folate is actually one of our basic vitamins. It's called vitamin B9, but nobody
Oh.
calls it that.
Oh.
The one most of us are familiar with is folic acid, right? Which is
Ah,
in
yeah,
everything,
yeah.
right? Like folic
Yeah.
acid is in bread, it's in pasta, it's in all of the vitamins, the energy drinks,
Mhm.
the blah, 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 blah.
Mhm.
Ironically, people with an MTHFR deficiency actually can't use the folic acid form. It interferes with the functioning of
Oh.
MTHFR even more. And
Wow.
so that's a huge thing, right? Because
Mhm.
so say women with repeat miscarriages and they're struggling with infertility, the doctor
Wow.
gives them a massive dose of folic acid trying to overcome that. But if you have an MTHFR mutation, that's actually going to push you further away from having a baby.
Wow. That
I
explains
know.
why I don't have kids. Have too much folic acid.
Too many loofahs laying around. Um, yeah, I mean it's just crazy, right? And people aren't yet really making these connections. And so now we're getting to the point where a specialist, if you go to a reproductive specialist or something like that, they will test your MTHFR.
Huh.
But we're not yet at the point where the research on folic acid is sufficient enough for them to stop using that. so so we've got this sort of problem, right? Where
Mhm.
you know the research is coming. It's there. We've got some really, really promising early studies, but what we don't have is a big enough body of research to actually change the way medicine happens.
Mm.
So we just need to get the word out.
There you go. The MTH, and is this is a DNA strand issue?
It is. Mhm.
Uh, and can I sue my parents over this for giving it to me? Is that how it works, or what
Absolutely.
do I?
No, sue crazy Aunt Betty, actually.
Oh my God,
Um,
crazy Aunt Betty.
that's right.
What did Aunt Betty do?
Well, it's the crazy ones that have the
Oh,
MTHFR.
it
Um,
sounds like people I've dated on my Tinder profile.
yeah, sorry about that. We're out there.
It's
Um, yeah, no, it's just a gene variance. It's not like this big, massive mutation. It's a
Mhm.
variance that makes the enzyme slower.
Huh.
So the enzyme still works, just not as well. And boosting performance can actually help us to feel better.
There you go. Has anyone said to the people who name this MTHFR that it sure sounds like a swear word?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
been mentioned. It's
Yeah.
also been mentioned how
Like,
appropriate that feels to those of us in the
ah,
community. Yeah.
so maybe that's why they chose that.
It could have been some very very thoughtful
This
decision
darn
making,
gene, eh?
right?
And what it does. So how many people have this condition, have this gene mutation?
It's actually kind of surprising. The research suggests that up to 50% of the US population has one or more bad copies, which is
Really?
massive. I mean, that's half of
Oh,
us out
man.
there, right?
I'm
Walking
suing my
wounded.
parents. Suing them for, yeah, I'm already suing them for, I don't know, I don't have a joke for that. But
Feeling
everything
good
else they
too.
did. Yeah, I didn't. Didn't somebody sue their parents because they didn't want to be brought in this world? And they're like,
Oh my
you
God. Yeah,
forced me into,
it's
whatever.
insane. There's
Yeah. There you go.
Crazy crap out
So,
there.
50% of people, how do you know what are some identifying factors, I guess? If I'm
Yeah.
sitting out there in the audience right now wondering if I'm a mother, I know if I'm an MTH, I think about 80% of America are the other version. But how do I know if I have the MTHFR mutation?
It's hard to know, but
Hmm.
my favorite way is by playing a party game. Okay.
Oh,
So in this party game, I want you to think of like your closest genetic relatives, your parents, your siblings. Just count on, fingers and toes. How
mhm.
many of those people have anxiety, depression, chronic fatigue, pain they can't explain? How many of them have had reproductive issues? How many of them have had fertility stuff? How many of them have had hormone stuff? But mostly the fun part is to look at the crazy, right? How many of
Oh,
them are just neurotic beyond belief, have depression, have anxiety, have OCD, have any of this sort of thing? Because really, that's where it's easiest to see, right?
wow. You just described my whole family. My whole
Right?
family has MTH. They've also
I know.
been, by the way.
It brings like family picnics to a whole different level when you start being like, oh, red
Certainly.
flag. Oh, red
Certainly.
flag.
It's like
Okay.
it's like
Red
the whole
flag.
family, yeah, the whole family reunion get together. You're like, how am I related to these people? In
Exactly.
fact, a lot of people are gonna, it's coming up here. We're in what are we in September? Christmas and holiday season is coming up where people can get together with their family, so they can be sitting around them going, "That's an MTHFR right there," and that's yeah, yeah,
It passes the time, right?
yeah.
Share
Do
the turkey, point out the crazies. It's fun.
Yep. Yep. Just put it on their like name tags, and you put the name tags like Joey sits here around the Christmas table there. You just put Emma MTHR 1, 2, 3,
That's right.
4.
You get a little red
And
dot.
remember, if you can't find the crazy in your family, when you're looking around the room, it's probably
So
you.
true.
That's what my psychiatrist tells me. So what's the best way to diagnose this if you suspect that you might have this gene? Should people be going in? I was recently looking, actually today, about going in for my testosterone check
Mhm.
and also a health check for my men's health, where they I don't know, they check, they get me naked and go, yeah, you look like a man, so you must be a man. I don't know. These days you never know.
I
But
think you can sue for that, actually.
can you actually? All right. Well, I can sue for being a man or not being a man or both.
No, the look test.
The
Pretty
look
sure that's
test.
not above the level.
Oh, okay. But evidently, there's some sort of men's health test where they test
Mhm.
your testosterone and they see if you have toxic masculinity. And I already know we have lots of that going on, so we're fine there. But they basically do whatever they test for men, which is very different, probably than what they test for women because we're built differently.
For sure.
Although I don't know these days. All right, let's move on from the segues there. So how do I test for this? If I'm suspicious, or maybe I just want to do a DNA test? Because
Yeah.
what I was alluding to was what I was thinking about today is maybe I ought to have like one of those DNA tests that tells you maybe what's wrong with you. But then of course maybe I don't want to know.
Right, right. Honestly, my favorite way is to test with a home test kit, like
Hmm.
ancestry.com, 23andme.com.
Hmm.
A lot of these different like genealogy services
Hmm.
will do a test kit. It's cheap. It's usually either a cheek swab or a saliva sample, right? So you spit in a tube, send it in the mail, and there
Hmm.
you go.
There you go.
Now, a lot of these services don't disclose MTHFR or don't really like specify whether you have it or not.
Hmm.
So if you've done one of these, then download your raw data, which they have to make available legally. So download
Oh.
your raw data. It's pretty easy. And then upload it into something called geneticgenie.org.
Hmm.
They have a methylation panel that will tell you MTHFR and a lot of related genes and kind of get you started. But the thing with MTHFR, if you suspect you have it, it's not necessary. Well, I mean, it's helpful to test
Hmm.
for it, but it's not necessary. You can treat as if, simply because what it means is having a better diet, better lifestyle, and taking better quality supplements. So,
Wait, I have to have a better diet too now?
I
What the hell?
know all the
To
work,
eat
right?
right
All
and
the
stuff.
work.
So do I have to eat the folate that comes off from the loofah and the exfoliation?
Ew.
Ew.
That sounds really bad.
Don't do that, people. Don't do that.
Yeah. Don't do that. Don't
Just
try
gross
licking
out
the
half
loofah.
my audience, but they're used to it after 15 years. So, so do you work with people to teach them how to improve their diet and what you listed before, their lifestyle, et cetera, et cetera?
I do, for sure.
Mm.
You know, it's I do work with people in kind of every sense, right? I have a podcast, but then also I run a community for MTHFR mutants like myself,
Mutants. You're
which is
like
fun.
Dr. X of X-Men or
I
something?
know. I'm waiting for the eyeball laser
They
beams to
have
come
a
in.
thing
That's
for
like
you.
my deepest wish.
Do you have a wheelchair that you run around in? I'm just
Sadly,
kidding.
no. But yeah, so I work. I have the community, but I also work with people one on one. And my favorite is small group coaching, which I think
Oh,
is just incredibly effective because then you have this kind of network of people who are doing it with you. Your peer support, everybody's kind of encouraging everybody. It really works out well. And
wait. Group sports are supposed to encourage people? We use group support to point fingers and go, this guy's the dumb one in the. Well, this is the. That's where we do the Christmas table thing. We go, this is the one with the MTHFR.
that's right, red dot. You get a red dot.
Yeah, you got a red dot. He's like, why me? I came here for help. And we're like, we're helping. Shut up. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that in your group therapy, people. It's really bad.
It's okay.
That's how I got thrown out of AA and have a restraining order. So you work with them, and are some of the things that you help them with diet and lifestyle probably things that most people need help with anyway?
For sure. For
Yeah.
sure. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really hard to navigate a good diet
Hmm.
in our current sort of food situation, right?
Yeah.
Because most
Yeah.
of us are carboholics and we eat, you know, nothing but wheat products for
Yeah.
3 meals a day, right?
I try and eat right. So what's the best way to find folate products when I'm looking at the Del Taco drive-through menu there? Is it one of the tacos or
No
is it
problem. Let me
somewhere in
walk
the
you through this.
yeah. Yeah. Is do I am I getting a good stab in the dark that maybe fruits and vegetables, maybe fruits are good
Fruits and
folic
vegetables
acids?
are good. Yeah. Beans
Um,
are even better, right? Like
oh,
it's stuff that people know, but they don't necessarily know about the folic acid piece. And that's the
mhm.
hard part because if you have MTHFR and say depression or anxiety, then eating bread or pasta or cinnamon buns that are fortified with folic acid is actually going to make your depression worse or your
Oh wow,
anxiety worse, right? Or your
wow,
energy worse. So
and it affects all of that, huh?
yeah, it's
Wow.
crazy. I mean, it's just crazy. And so people, when they take folic acid, the fortified folic acid, the synthetic form, out of their diet, even for a couple of weeks, they notice this just shift, right? Like this big
Mhm.
change. And then when you start adding in natural sources of folate, which we can use with an MTHFR mutation, then it's like this whole different world opens up because suddenly their brain and body has a nutrient that it's been lacking for pretty much their entire life.
Wow.
It's a big deal.
Now you say that you alluded this earlier, but this can affect male and female infertility.
It does. It
Oh wow,
does. Yeah.
wow,
We're showing MTHFR, men with MTHFR have lower sperm counts, worse
really?
sperm morphology. Yeah. I mean, there's really,
Holy
it's male
crap!
and female infertility both. And especially if both partners are affected, I mean, we've got a
Yeah, they
double
both
whammy,
have it. Yeah.
right? And with a 50-50 shot, there's a lot of couples out there where both partners have it and they don't
I'm
even
gonna
know.
start putting this in my Tinder profile. Willing to date anybody who doesn't have MTA because I don't. But that may explain why I don't have children. Oh wait, it's a vasectomy. Never mind. I got that
That'll
right.
do it.
But no, my
That'll do
dad
it.
did have trouble for 3 years. They tried to have me as a child, and I guess they had to wait until Satan could deliver Damien into my mother's womb. But no, they tried for like 3 years. It may have been an underwear issue, tightness, but may have had that because I mean they tried.
Yeah, for sure.
And I know a lot of people try. I know a lot of people when I have a vasectomy tested every few years, I go into the sperm donor clinic and they always call me and they're like really apologetic. I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, but I have bad news. And I'm like, what? And they go, you have no sperm. And I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. And the dude's like, what?
Huh?
Everyone who comes here usually wants to have that. I'm like, no, I'm fine. There we go.
I'm
But
good
no,
without it.
there's a lot of people that have to go to fertility clinics, a lot of couples. They want to have children, they're having issues, and this might be a big. Is there any
It's huge.
percentage of how much this is a factor on some of this stuff?
I mean, it's really hard to say and it's hard to pin down. But in women with what's called idiopathic infertility, or men with
Mm-hmm.
idiopathic infertility, which means they can't find some other cause, right?
Mm-hmm.
So infertility where there's not like a tubal blockage, where we know they're ovulating, where things are happening, then there's lots of research that shows switching from folic acid to methylfolate, which is the active form, makes a big difference. So we have to presume that a lot of those women are struggling with MTHFR, and a lot of those men are struggling with
Wow.
MTHFR. So
My ex-girlfriends have always told me that I'm idiopathic. Okay, one of those two. You work with them to develop, I guess, for food fortification programs. I almost said something else. And how they can do stuff more. Now I know that women are more susceptible to hormones and hormone changes. Is this something that can help them with their hormones? I know a lot of women who are my friends that are in my age group, they're going through menopause, and that's not the most funnest experience with hormones. Is that
yeah.
something that can help them as well?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Hormones are really linked into MTHFR.
Mm-hmm.
Just because one of the ways we detox estrogen is with methylation, which is a big
Really?
part of what MTHFR does. Yeah. And so
Wow.
if you can't get rid of it, then it hangs around doing damage, which is part of why MTHFR is linked to higher rates of like breast cancer, ovarian cancer, prostate cancer,
Oh.
that sort of thing. So the goal is, by actually working on this, to reduce some of those risks, right? We don't want that. None of us want that.
Yeah.
That's a no
Yeah,
fun future.
cancer is bad. Cancer is
Cancer's
bad
bad.
for everybody. I do not like cancer, but that's really interesting because that can really help people. So, why doesn't most doctors know about this? Advise on it, check it. Are they just kind of running on autopilot? What's going on?
Not really. So we're in a weird time in medicine where we have all of this new information about genetics,
Hmm.
but genes aren't considered diagnoses, right? So having a
Hmm.
gene doesn't actually give you a disease, it just gives you a difference in a gene.
Huh.
And our medical model is based on diagnosis. So there's an algorithm to come up with a diagnosis, and then based on that diagnosis, they can legally give certain treatments.
Oh.
So if you're diagnosed with, say, blood clots, which could be related to MTHFR, they can treat that, but they
Hmm.
can't treat the MTHFR. It's not in the medical model. It doesn't work.
Wow.
But if you come to somebody who's more of an integrative practitioner or an alternative medical practitioner like myself, then we're not as bound by that same paradigm, right? Like we don't have to stick to the American Medical Association's diagnostic and treatment algorithms. We have the liberty to go elsewhere, which is great.
There you go. This is interesting. I was rereading your bio as you were talking, and you went through some health issues when you went through this strange health issues, where you had terrible reactions to birth control pills,
Oh God,
ongoing
yeah.
muscle and connective tissue pain. I've had girlfriends that have had that issue with birth control pills, and sometimes it can really muck up their hormones when they go off it. After taking it for a
Oh,
while, birth control pills, they can really it
spin
just
out.
throws their system, and then they go back on it and stuff. And I know a lot of women suffer from, and I don't know if suffer is the right word. I'm not a doctor, but they're not really excited about the birth control pills by some of the sometimes it affects them really
Oh
heavily
yeah.
and negatively.
Oh, all the time you hear about birth control and depression, birth control
Yeah,
and anxiety, but that's a folate problem, right?
yeah.
So birth control is known to deplete natural folate, which is
Oh
exactly
wow.
what the MTHFR gene does.
Huh.
So if you have birth control and MTHFR, it's like the double whammy, right? It's
Wow.
situation from hell where it just kind of compounds itself. So yeah, well, plus we can't detoxify estrogens very well.
Oh, either.
So
Okay.
yeah, it turns into this whole giant mess. But it's really common in the MTHFR community to not tolerate birth control very well, and that can be another really good red flag that you probably want to look into this.
Wow. I'm thinking about how many people have talked to me about all these issues, and I'm like, I don't know, go see a doctor, but this could be the thing that does it. I didn't even know there was such a thing as folic acid toxicity.
Mm.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, the research is looking really icky for it too.
Yeah, I'm gonna quit
Um,
exfoliating in the shower.
that's right. Get rid of that loofah,
That damn loofah.
man. It's causing all your problems.
It's causing all my problems. I knew that thing was a bad idea.
But yeah, folic acid toxicity is actually becoming something that the medical sort of community is talking about, because we're seeing higher rates of cancer growth
Really?
in people who get over 1,000 micrograms per day.
Hmm.
We're seeing higher rates of autism in babies born to mothers with high folic acid concentrations.
Oh,
We're seeing
wow.
higher rates of food sensitivity, of allergies, some of the spectrum disorders. I mean, it's kind of some of the stuff that's scary, right? It's the big
Yeah.
red flags that we're looking at for the future, right? Because
Stuff nobody
autism is
wants.
on the rise. Yeah, absolutely.
That would be interesting, an autism linkage to autism. I've got a few friends that have autistic kids, and it's a challenge, and
Oh,
there's all sorts of theories. And let me stress that theories. Don't run off on a conspiracy campaign, boys and girls. But there's all sorts of theories about what causes autism and how it's risen so dramatically.
mhm.
Um, and I mean, all the different things. And it is interesting that you mentioned that it comes down to diet and lifestyle. So much of what's going wrong with our society does come down to diet and lifestyle. I mean, we're eating some real crap lately. I mean, that's why instead of Del Taco, I always go to the Taco Bell menu because
Good choice.
it has more foliate over there. No, it doesn't.
That's right. That's right.
It
It's the
does.
healthy option.
Don't be over. Can I get extra foliate on my Taco Bell burrito there? Yeah.
Just a nice little sprinkle.
Yeah, just a little sprinkle. I have some on my steak later. So this has been pretty insightful. What have we talked about on the show that people should know?
I think the most important thing is, and we haven't really talked about this, but your doctor doesn't have all the answers, right?
Mm,
If something is happening in your health and it's not making sense, start looking around, right? There's so many things out there, and MTHFR is one of them for half of us.
wow.
So I can tell you, for me, it's made an incredible amount of difference in like pain levels, hormone balance, anxiety, quality of life, energy, all of the things. So really don't rest when your doctor says no, things are normal.
Mm,
They might not be.
yeah. I mean, so there's a lot of times people go. I know. Lyme disease is a big thing where
Mm.
if people have it and they were bit by a tick, whether they knew it or not, they can go through all sorts of myriad of things. But I imagine this: if you're having folic acid overload or you're unable to process it because your
Mhm.
body, right? Then yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, it's like the missing link that joins all these weird little symptoms that don't go together.
There you go. There you go. Well, this has been very insightful. Tell us any further how you work with people, how they reach out to you, how do people on board with you, find out if working together with you is a good fit, et cetera, et cetera.
Absolutely. Yeah. Best place to look is the website,
Mm-hmm.
tohealthwiththat.com. You
Mm-hmm.
can schedule a free 15-minute meet and greet if you just want to talk things through, see what options might be good for you. But if you know what you want, you can also go ahead and schedule one-on-one consultations or group coaching, or just join the MTHFR community and start noodling around and see what you can learn.
There you go. And you've got the podcast, The Health with That, MTHFR Mutations.
That's right.
So listen to that. This is kind of interesting. I was reading the bio on the podcast. That this enzyme, the MTHFR enzyme, is in bed with estrogen,
Hmm.
and depression are linked, et cetera, hormones and fertility. It sounds like it's a really big deal. People should get to know
It
more about.
is. It
And
is.
then, do we get all your .coms and websites
I
in?
think so. Yeah.
There you go.
Tohealthwiththat.com is the best one. And if you want to email me directly, shoot me a line. It's amy@tohealthwiththat.com. Nice and simple.
There you go. Note to self: throw out the loofah. So there you go. Don't wear that. Thank you very much for coming on, Dr. Amy. We really appreciate it. It's been fun and insightful.
It's been an absolute pleasure, Chris. Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks, our audience, for tuning in. Check your folate acid, overwhelm, toxicity, just check yourself out. Call Dr. Amy and find out what's up, or email her or text her, whatever. Anyway, go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, youtube.com/Chris Voss, linkedin.com/Chris Voss. Subscribe to the big LinkedIn newsletter. That thing's a joy over there. It keeps growing like a weed. And then Chris Voss 1 at the Tickety Talkety for the kids. Thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe. And we'll